Uh-oh. Speaking of two genders, what's up? Law and lumber, the only two genders that exist.
Yeah, exactly. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, good, man. How are you? Welcome.
This is effing crazy. We've got Runkle who's over streaming with Alita. We've got Larry who's on his own stream, and I'm jumping on your stream to try and get people caught up with what the hell's going on in the courtroom.
Yeah, man, hit us with it. What's the jury sentiment? What's the gallery sentiment?
All right, so gallery seems to be mostly pro Johnny, a couple of pro Heard people. I'm sitting far right against the wall, so I've got a clear line of sight of Amber as well as almost every juror except the bottom right. But then Larry's got them completely viewed. Jury is very young, so got three males in between 20s and 30s, probably guessing early to mid 20s.
Sure.
Another male, 30s.
Dangerous.
African-American woman, middle-aged, probably 40s, 50s. Asian-American woman who is in her 30s, who looks like a Polynesian male in 40s, who quite literally has completely checked out, does not believe anything Amber's saying, and just puts his hand over his face every time she starts talking.
Oh, no.
Caucasian female in her 50s that we cannot figure out. She looks like a Catholic school mom.
Okay.
And then Caucasian male in his 30s that we all thought was like giving Amber a lot of stuff, but then he started showing body signals that he wasn't really buying it. And then you've got a Caucasian male in his 60s that we can't figure out either. But the jury is really not showing a lot of reaction. They're not looking at her. They'll give her glances here and there. One of the jurors,
Yeah.
I caught him like faking writing notes. Like he would hold his pen there and then kind of just wiggle the pen back and forth, but wouldn't write anything. Like it was to preoccupy him so he didn't have to watch what Amber was doing or saying.
Right.
One of the jurors I don't know if he's hearing impaired, but he has been completely checking out. Like he just like fold over, like it's like someone hit the reset button on him, like at the very end of before we went to break. Try to think of everything else that's relevant. They're not buying the emotion.
Yeah, I'm not either.
They're really not. And watching the emotional breakdown, like that last one before we kind of went, like I was tracking like what they were doing as they were going down that, or as she was going down that emotional rabbit hole. And it was basically two of them were calling bullshit. One of them had no eye contact at the beginning. That was when the hearing impaired one kind of just hit reset button and just put his head down. Other one was basically falling asleep. No one would make eye contact with her. No one.
Yeah.
Would. People were either taking notes, but no one made eye contact except for one, the 30s male, who would look up and down, but he had this like creased brow towards the end. Like you couldn't figure out what he was. It's like he was trying to parse through what she was saying as she was saying it and didn't really buy into all of it.
Yeah, I think, and you can tell me if I've got the wrong sentiment here. I think they've had a real trouble establishing the timeline very effectively throughout this entire testimony. I mean, I thought it was worse in the prior weeks, but I mean, just getting from A to B has been kind of difficult for me to follow. I imagine the jury's got to be having trouble too.
I mean, they sped through stuff. They moved through stuff a lot faster today. And I don't know if you've picked up, she's a lot more aggressive today. Like,
yeah,
that chin is out. She is combative. She is like, there's a stick rammed straight up her backside that is like, she is ramrod straight in that chair. And the jury is not responding to it. The jury is like leaned back in their chair. They're like, during one point of one of these emotional pieces of testimony, the jury had their chairs pointed at Elaine and they were craning their neck over at the witness. That is not what you want when you're doing direct examination.
No. And I think it's because the show has been where Elaine and Camille have been clashing. What's your impression on the objections? Is the jury reacting? I mean, there's a lot of objections today.
One of the 60-year-old male juror hates Elaine. We're convinced because Vasquez. I thought at first she hated the objections.
Yeah,
he hated the objections because he would look over at the table, but then I realized that Elaine would rephrase the question, and he kept on looking at Elaine without turning over to Amber. And I'm like, he hates the fact that she has to keep asking these questions, and he's trying to figure out where she's going with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Camille's been doing very well on these objections, keeping them really short, really technical, and not like they don't look like they're trying to obscure things so much. It
Oh,
looks
the
it looks
judge
like
is
they're
hilarious.
yeah.
Like, I wish they had a camera on her the whole time, and I'm so glad I'm in the courtroom right now to see it, because it's like objection leading, and the judge is like, sustained, and then it's like she rephrases this objection leading, the judge goes, sustained, and it's like objection leading, and it's like, still leading.
Yeah.
Just fix your question.
Yep, she's been pretty good today, I think, on
Yeah, she's been
objections.
on.
I feel like she's refreshed after her conference.
This caught me off guard. Every trial I've ever had, man, the judge, I don't care if it's jury or non-jury, the judge is looking at the witness for the most part. They're looking at the lawyer, they're looking at the witness. Judge Ascarati does not even peek over at Amber. She's deadlocked on Elaine and Vasquez.
Okay. So
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to make of it. I've just never seen it.
okay, so is there anything specific that has really stood out to you from this testimony today?
The age. Everyone had said that these jurors were young.
Yeah.
They're young. They are young. It surprised all three of us how young they are. And how, I mean, 2 or 3 of them are easy to read. One of them is quite literally impossible. Like, we're never going to figure that one out. Amber Heard directs her testimony to the jurors that she thinks are on her side. When the 2 ladies in the upper right are believing her story, you will see her to look up and directly at them.
Okay.
When they do not believe her story, they look down, and then she finds the young man in the middle and the bottom. The gallery isn't buying anything that she's saying, except for I think there's 1 row of her supporters behind us. Yeah, I don't know. This is wild.
How there was a time where a juror needed a tissue. Was that like a runny nose, a bloody nose? Was it an eye?
Nose.
Runny
It was
nose.
one of the jurors that was wearing a mask.
Oh, okay. Well, they wore a mask, so they got COVID. Got it.
Yeah. So there was one male juror is wearing a mask, and then 2 male jurors are wearing a mask. 1 female juror is wearing a mask.
Sure. You got to wonder if he started wearing the mask because he got sick, like the guy who's got the runny nose, because like he might just want to well, I want to stay here. I don't want to get other people sick. So I'm going to do my jury duty.
Or he just didn't want to be too telegraphing how much he did or did not believe somebody. I don't know.
Right. What do you think was the best thing that happened for Amber Heard today? I can tell you what I think in a minute, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts on it.
Tell me what you think, and then I'll see if I can remember.
Sure. I don't think these were great, but I thought the pictures of her face that showed some of the redness were probably the best thing she's done on her entire direct, because it's at least something.
Something.
Yeah. And I mean, again, to be very clear, I don't think they're great photos. I think in some of the different lighting, they don't look like bruises at all or anything. But I think someone who's sympathetic to her could latch onto that and say, I see redness there. Yeah, that might be a little puffy.
Tell your chat to try and figure out what she's doing with her eye.
The left eye that she keeps doing this number?
She keeps touching it. So, I need to go back and look at the video, because there was one of those sidebars where she looked directly at me and then like did a whole, like, after staring at me, then did the whole and
sure.
like looking away. I don't know if it's real or not, but yeah, she keeps touching it. I don't know if it's a twitch. I don't know if it's, I just can't see from where I am.
The sympathetic sort of thing would be she's worried that like mascara from her far lashes is getting into her eye and it's irritating her, but nothing's happening with the irritation. And mascara in your eye, not that I know, but from my wife, is very, very annoying.
And I can tell you that no one in the jury is buying that, and no one in the gallery is buying it, and it's becoming obvious for everyone.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to, I can't believe that after all this time, she can't squeeze out a single tear, like that. She still can't do it.
her emotional breakdown, like I need to go back and actually do a video on this, like, or actually watch through it again and kind of describe what's happening because I just started taking notes. Like, two called bullshit. One said no eye contact as she's breaking down. Then I was like, looked back up, but then looked back down, looking up and down, creased brow. Like, there's just so much going on.
Yeah. If you're going to have a breakdown with someone, like if you're, and she's not having a conversation with the jury, but you kind of are, and she's been looking to the jury. If I'm talking to you and I'm going to have a breakdown, I'm not going to keep looking away, right? I'm going to break down while looking at you because we're engaged in a communication. It's very weird to me to see. I mean, it's not weird if I consider that she's just lying and trying to drum this emotion up, but it would be very weird if someone was actually breaking down in front of me and they like could not maintain any sort of consistent contact.
Yeah, it's odd. Like there's a lot of it just doesn't feel right. I think, and people who have been in the courtroom have kind of said that there's something that just doesn't feel right about it. It's that, like, you just feel kind of uncomfortable, and you can feel that from the jurors too. It's like they don't really want to listen to it. Like some of them push themselves back in the chair, like then, and also her posture, man. Someone must have told her that when people are victims, they do the whole like turtle shell thing. But she took the turtle shell thing and she put like a rod behind her back. So she's just sticking straight up in the air and chin is out. And like, I mean, there was one where the galleries chuckled. I don't know if you guys could hear it on the stream, but like when it was the leading, objection sustained, leading, objection sustained, it was 4 leading in a row. And at the end of it, like the gallery was chuckling because Judge Ascarati was like, still leading. Like, and it's that bad. And Elaine can't. She just looks exhausted. Did you notice that she called the mid-morning break 30 minutes early?
Was that what that was? I think the judge shifted the mid-morning break earlier because of the earlier start.
Nope. That's supposed to be right between the 2 sessions. It's supposed to be at 11 a.m.
Okay.
It was 10. It was supposed to be 11 a.m. It was 11:30 when they were starting at 10. It's supposed to be 11.
Wow. I didn't know that because I didn't keep careful track of the timing. I mean, I saw that it was 10:30 my time when the break was coming. I was like, I know they were going a little earlier on the break, so I thought that jived, but it was still even a half hour earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll make it to the end of the day, or do you think that we're going to go basically till the next break and then get cross?
I don't know. I don't know what else there is to cover. I mean, she hit the makeup. She hit the divorce. She hit that last incident. What else is there to cover? Didn't she hit her own complaint? Didn't she hit that first? Well, she's got to talk about the $7 million.
Yeah. They haven't hit the divorce settlement at all yet. And they haven't actually gotten to the article that was written yet.
I know, but is that going to take them all afternoon? It depends on how she testifies. I think Elaine's getting frustrated with her because she can't move her along, so she passes questions up.
Well, I think Elaine might just also be insane in general. Like I'm not impressed with her as an attorney. I don't think her questions are that good. I think, and I think this entire direct examination of her was so bloated as to be ridiculous. I love that she comes in today and she's like, oh yeah, by the way, the entire timeline is wrong that we gave you earlier. And also she was abused so often that she can't remember any specific details of any incident.
And the thing is, I'm pissed because I don't think the jury picked up on that. And even the gallery didn't pick up on it. I think only the attorneys in the room picked up on what they were doing. Because to everyone else, it sounded like, well, let's pick up where we left off and make sure everyone knows where we left off. But to every attorney that's sitting in the room, they're going, excuse me? You're trying to rewrite? Wait, what? You now want to go back and clarify a timeline? That's not how that works.
Maybe they'll call it out on cross. We'll have to see. You didn't testify to any of this at any time prior, just after this week. What's up with that?
I mean, she has set herself up for like the most ruthless cross-examination you could fathom. Like I'm sitting in the gallery and like bouncing in my pew going, please let me do this cross. Please let me.
Yeah, I thought the restructuring of the timeline was crazy. We'll see if they address it on cross or not. They've got so much to go on. And again, I think on Friday we talked about the domestic violence issue, but here again, she directly directly brings up that former partner. And
she's not scoring points with the jury on this stuff. I've told people, like, this is why divorces are always bench trials. We always have the right to do a jury trial, but we always do bench trial because family dynamics are so individual and you don't know how they're going to play with other people. She's testifying to all of these events and she's trying to drone up emotion, but none of the jurors are reciprocating. You're not getting nods, you're not getting movement, you're not getting anything. It's stone face.
Yeah, that's not a great outcome. you got to engage. Like this is their big witness. I mean, she's the one with all the facts and the jury doesn't care. I mean, that's a big problem. Is it possible that you are misreading the jury? Like I know not like that theoretical possibility, but what do you think your bias might be playing into this at all?
So that I think that we've been coming out with every break and we're saying, am I seeing this right? Like we're kind of hammering at each other on this one. And
yeah,
we're kind of in agreement. There's two of them we can't read, like at all. Like
sure.
I'm not getting anything from them. One of them I can definitely read, the guy that has his hand over his face and gives Amber the side eye. He's the one that's closest to her in the gallery. He's lower left. So she doesn't look his way. She'll look that way. She'll look that way, but she will not look that way. Like, she knows he doesn't like him. He doesn't like her. There's two of them that I think could swing either way depending on the testimony. Like the thing is they're tired of the boring stuff. When Amber was testifying to the divorce, they just checked out. Like they slouched back and then looked forward.
Though I think they poorly timed those photos. I mean, I think those photos were the best evidence they've put forth so far, but it was really slow, really long, and really boring. I think they maybe should have saved that for the end if they had any other details to go with, or maybe fresh right after a break or something, because my chat was like boring, just constantly.
I will tell you where the jury perked up and where I saw, because a lot of them had their seats just positioned at counsel podium, which is why I said it was really shitty. If you've got a jury that's looking at the attorney for direct examination and then craning their neck to look at the witness, you're doing something wrong. Like the jury should be focused at the witness and looking to you if they need to. But the one time when the jury had all positioned their chairs facing Amber was the testimony for that May 21st of 2016 incident, the one where Io, Tillett, and Rocky are involved.
Yeah.
It's like they were trying to figure out what happened, and all of them were kind of intent on that testimony. I think the jury has kind of narrowed down to 14, and they're looking at like 3 of these incidents and trying to figure out what the hell happened.
Would you object to the name Io Tillett Right? Because that just for the character, for truthfulness.
Sure. And how about how many times you can try and get in hearsay and Elaine goes, it's not coming in for the truth. What the fuck else are you trying to bring that in for?
What did you think? This drove me fucking nuts. All those pictures of the apartment. And I think it was a big mistake to have Amber say, we found out the police are coming, so we took pictures. Like that was like, to me, that instant credibility loss right there. I think they should have just skimmed that issue. But
I wrote down, like in my notes, I wrote down and put in front of DUI guy and Runkle. I was like, what the fuck does this prove? This is nothing. These are photographs of quote unquote massive damage. No, it looks like someone knocked over a wine glass and took a picture of it conveniently. Like
where was the Magnum champagne bottle that he threw and shattered? Where was the photo?
Instead, you get one that's kind of knocked over that looks like it maybe had a few drips of wine come out of it.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. I'm like,
but the other thing about that one was we all kind of were looking at the jury and it was like they were checked out. They didn't care. These photos they gave 0 shits about.
Well, and I mean, it's hard to ever question like whether you should give credit to a jury or not. It might be a little premature, but like if you give credit to the jury, they all heard the cops, went through that apartment, didn't see any signs of abuse or violence, looked at all those pictures on their deposition, which Elaine was happy to point. I don't think she should have pointed that out.
And I agree with you. That was so dumb because it sets Camille up to walk through and say the officer, and I wrote down in my notes, you mean consistent with crying? Like looks consistent with crying? Looks consistent with crying? Like It just
Yeah.
it opens that door for that testimony to come right back in.
And you were here for the officer deposition playing, right? Yes, I was. And you remember the officer saying that he looked at that photo and didn't find it consistent with an abuse victim, right? Yes. And she can't say anything else after that. Like that's the question. That's the answer. I mean, they took these pictures that would potentially be some decent evidence. Again, at least a factual basis for someone to infer abuse, and they undercut them. They hamstrung themselves. How was so we heard right when they arrived, Sky News played the arrival of both parties. What was the sentiment when each one arrived? I mean, when Johnny Depp came, it was roaring cheers on the stream.
Yeah, so we couldn't hear it from where we were, but what was really funny is what people have observed as well. So the judge will take a recess, and we all stand, the jury walks out. And then the judge walks off the bench. And then everyone's still fucking standing, and they haven't left the courtroom. And I'm looking around going like, you guys realize we can leave now, right? And they're waiting for Johnny Depp to turn around and wave. That's what they're waiting for.
Yeah.
And once he turns around and waves, they all wave back, and then they leave the courtroom. It's ridiculous.
All right, brother.
All right.
Well, thank you for checking in, man. It's really appreciated. Have fun. We'll see you in the gallery.
Yep. Nice chat with you guys.
All right. Peace.
Well, as always, Rob brings the wood.
So